Yeah, and that kind of brings us into our next segment. Talking about the next few opponents, we've got 4 games remaining. When you're looking at the schedule, you see, some familiar foes we can put it. We got Browns, and we have
Yep.
Falcons. We don't play the Falcons very often, but Browns, Falcons, Steelers, Bengals. 4 games left. We are tied for the division lead. Luckily, or not luckily, skillfully, we are undefeated in the division, so we hold the tiebreaker over the Bengals. But we're looking at those, and I'll also bring up the Bengals schedule. Bengals play Buccaneers, Patriots, Bills, Ravens. I think it's a much tougher schedule, but both teams have some difficult games ahead of them. Are the Ravens going to be able to win the North? Without maybe Lamar in these next 2 weeks, or like, what are your thoughts on kind of the AFC North? And I mean, it's really a 2-team race right now, Ravens and Bengals. What are you thinking with how the Ravens are going to finish?
You know what? I put it all on the. You know, watching Roquan and watching Patrick Queen, it gives me goosebumps. The reason it gives me goosebumps because when I watch Patrick Queen, it reminds me almost of Bart Scott, Patrick Onslaught. When I say those names, I'm talking about some of the great will inside linebackers that played for the Baltimore Ravens. And now when I look at Roquan Smith, you finally it's not is the Ravens weren't chasing a ghost, but now they got their reincarnation just about in Roquan Smith and trying to replace Ray Lewis. Because when Ray Lewis retired as a Raven, he when you think of Ravens, you think of defense. And when you think of defense of the Ravens, you think of Ray Lewis, one of the arguably best middle linebackers to ever play the game. So when you build a franchise on defense and you've been trying to, replace them with off the Browns, CJ Mosley, you put a will inside linebacker in a Mike position where he clearly was out of place, and now you done made one of the arguably, I would say maybe one of the best mid-season trades in football in the football decade in this football decade. Um, you almost believe and almost see that this defense will help this team solidify these wins, especially against the AFC North opponents. When you think about the Browns, we all know the Browns, and we know about the Browns. It's going to be Bradley Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They're going to run the ball. And what have the Ravens up defense been doing? They have been holding teams under 100 rushing yards. And then with Roquan Smith, he is a tackling machine, and everybody is feeding off that energy. So, when you think about, Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, Calais Campbell, Travis Jones, Justin Metabike, that front seven has gotten better. No, it's not the 2000 Ravens front seven. No, it's not the 2012 Ravens front seven. It is the 2022 Ravens front seven. So, you got guys up there that wants to fight for each other. So I definitely feel like this defense can help us solidify these wins. And it really comes down to the quarterback play and what quarterback does play. I do feel like, even though Anthony Brown is an undrafted free agent, looking at his stats from college, even at Boston College and Oregon, he was a gunslinger. He threw over 3,000 yards. He threw over 25 touchdowns at Boston College and Oregon. I feel like if Greg Roman opens up the playbook and let him pass the ball around and actually let the wide receivers run away from each other in more clean routes, and we take up time of possession, I do feel like we can solidify these games and win and get our playoff berth.
Yeah, and you're looking at these games. I think it comes down to one game. I think it comes down to the Bengal game, because I think there's a chance the Ravens lose a week. There's a chance the Bengals lose a week, but it could very well come down to, hey, you are playing each other in week 18.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these teams could very well be 12-4 at that point. You're playing for that 13th win.
Yeah.
Or both of these teams, maybe the Ravens lose to the Steelers. Maybe the Ravens lose to the Falcons. Maybe the Ravens lose to the Browns. Whatever it is. Maybe the Ravens lose a game. But the Bengals lose to the Bills. Or they lose to the New England Patriots. Whatever it is. Well, all of a sudden, you both lost a game. You're still playing each other in week 18.
Yeah.
So no matter what, it's coming down to that Week 18 game, unless one of the teams is able to get a 2-game lead. Because if I'm going to double check I think the Bengals luckily have a 2 losses in the division, which is huge. The Ravens would need to drop 2 games, losing to the Browns and the Steelers. Or actually, no, if the Ravens lose to the Browns or the Steelers, I think the Bengals could win the division with a loss as long as they don't lose to a divisional opponent, because they will. They could also have 2 losses. They could both be 5 or 6-2 in the division.
Okay.
Or 4-2. Yeah, it would be 4-2 in the division with losses to each other. And that would come down to Week 18 if the Bengals are able to beat the Ravens. So, like, it's pretty funny because we talk about all the different outcomes. Win in Week 18, and you almost guaranteed win this division. Because that gives the Bengals a loss. If you win in Week 18, you can lose at least 1. And the Bengals will probably lose 1 in the next 3 weeks. It's just a tough schedule. Buccaneers this week, Bills the next, Patriots the next. That's a gauntlet right there. I don't feel bad for them. Whatever, screw them. But it's tough. So they may drop a game. They may drop 2. But even if they drop 2, they can still win this division.
Yeah.
So it comes down to Week 18. Comes down to, can the Ravens beat the Bengals? Lamar Jackson will be back at that point. So it's like the Ravens, I think they should win this division. They should. I think it's in their hands fully. They have the worst schedule. Obviously, they're missing their quarterback, but their team is not based on the quarterback. The team is based on playing defense. If you go out there and you play good defense for 3 weeks, you're going to win 3 weeks in a row. They're not playing high potent offenses. They're not playing dominant offenses. Good teams. I'm not trying to take anything away from those teams. Those are good football teams.
Yeah.
None of them are going to be easy wins, but they should be won. I call the Browns a difficult win. That's how I describe them as a team as a whole. Yeah. No matter who's playing against them. Yeah, like they probably should win, but at the same time, it's going to be close. It's the same thing. I say the same thing about like the Lions. I've said the same thing about the Lions this year, where it's like, the Lions now, they kind of have like, I think they have 6 wins now. But early on, it was like, okay, the Lions, they're 1-5 or whatever they were. But they were close. And so it's, you win, you should win, but it's a tough win. And it's a consistent, tough win. Panthers, I think, are another team where they're a tough win, but they're not very good. Browns are another team where it's like, they're better than, I think, the Lions. They're better than the Panthers, but you should beat them, but it's going to be difficult. Nick Chubb is a tough monster to stop. So is that pass rush that they have as well. Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, they have a good secondary. So overall, like, tough wins, I think the Ravens have the next 3 weeks, and then it comes down to the Bengals. And so I'm going to say yes, I do think the Ravens win the North. I think it's, coming back to Baltimore. I think the Bengals, the benefit is, I think that game is going to come down to who wins the division, not can one team knock the other out of the playoffs. It's not going to be a Raiders-Chargers game where like we saw last year in Week 18, where it was like, technically, they could both make the playoffs if they tie, but they're playing for the wild card. That's not happening in this. It's probably going to be playing for either the number 1 wild card seed or the number 3 seed in the AFC. I don't see any team getting higher unless the Bengals beat the Bills. And the Ravens lose the division, then the Bengals could maybe jump because they have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs and the Bills, but that's really the only scenario I can see where it's not playing for the 3 and the 5. I think they absolutely should win it.
Yeah, man. You got to think about it. When it comes to this Saturday, Deshaun Watson will be playing. You don't know which Deshaun Watson that you're going to be playing against, because one minute Deshaun Watson can be on fire, throwing the ball to Donovan Peoples-Jones and Amari Cooper. I don't know if oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. The tight end. I don't know if he will be available, but that offense is ran through Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Like I said, defense has been shutting that down. When you think about the Panthers, you got Desmond Ritter, who's starting now,
Yeah.
and we obviously not taking away from Desmond Ritter. Desmond Ritter was pretty solid out of University of Cincinnati, and he's been making his presence known. But they are also without their biggest passing option in Kyle Pitts, and so now they have the X factor, Cordell Patterson. I say if you can shut down Cordell Patterson, hey, by all means, offense, run the ball as long as you can, take up time of possession. Hey, on fourth and fourth and 15, don't go for it, damn it. Kick the field goal if we're there, if we're close enough to get a touchdown. Hell, put Daniel Flaley at fullback, give Patrick Ricard the damn ball, let him run the damn ball in. When it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, keep doing do the same damn thing that you did this past Sunday. Because if we got to get them to play to use their Mercy QB Gentry or Mitchell Trubisky or even Kenny Pickett again, we obviously can get the job done. And they got a terrible offensive coordinator just like us. So I think I'll take my terrible offensive coordinator over theirs. And it's not because I just don't like the Steelers. It's because both of these guys are old and senile, and I think Gregory got a little bit more vision than Matt Canada. And when it comes down to the when it comes to the dang on Bengals, man, it just comes down to because I believe Tyler Boyd is out for 1 to 3.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd's hurt right now.
Yeah,
but I don't know exactly when he's going to be healthy.
Right. I don't know if T. Higgins is available. But I know their run game has gotten better over the season. Jamar Chase, we held Jamar Chase down previously to under 100 yards. I'm not saying that it can be duplicated, but we do have the recipe to success. It just falls on the Ravens coming out ready to play and being the Ravens team that we know they can be instead of just playing down to the competition. That's a big key factor as well. So I mean, you threw out the scenarios, you threw out the possibilities. It now falls on the Baltimore Ravens and organization and coaching scheme and how they execute as coaches and also as players on the field.
Yeah, and when the Ravens face that team in the Bengals, and when they face any of these divisional opponents, they know how hard it is to win these games. I think this is a division unlike any other. The physicality is there. And we saw that, I think, this last week. This Ravens-Steelers game was, we had questions. Is it the same kind of rivalry that we had seen before? Because, it's new players. The rules are different. And, man, we watched a SmackDown. It was Sunday Night Raw. We watched that game, and it's like, okay, both quarterbacks got injured with concussion protocol on both, I think, clean hits. And that's the thing that we're trying to see, right? Clean football, but it's brutal. All right. The modern day NFL haters that are worried about concussions and NFL player safety, do not watch Ravens Steelers. Go out and watch Lions Vikings. Go out and watch Jets Bills. Because they can be good games. They can be close games. They can be division rivalries, but they aren't that physical. It's going to be huge. Absolutely. We're going to see what ends up happening with them. And, I just think that overall, I love that it comes down to Ravens Bengals in week 18. And I think 100% that should be Sunday Night Football. And I think it will be Sunday Night Football. Because week 18, they don't set the schedule until the week before because they don't want teams saying, oh, well, if we lose this game, we get a better matchup. Or, oh, if we tie this game, like we saw last year in Raiders-Chargers, I think that was Sunday Night Football. Or it could have been, might have been a Cowboys game. Might have been like Cowboys-Eagles or something. They go out there and they say, oh, yeah. They put games where teams need to win. And it won't affect anybody else. That's what's going to happen in Ravens-Bengals. They're both going to make the playoffs, but one of them is going to get the 3 seed. We're not going to see that out of the Chiefs game. The Bills are going to have the division locked up. The Chiefs are going to have the division locked up.
Right.
The Eagles are probably going to have their division locked up. The Niners are going to have theirs. The Vikings will have theirs.
Yeah.
The only one is really Ravens Bengals. So another Sunday night. I know it was primetime Ravens Bengals last time. I think we're going to get another one. I think it's going to be a really good game. And I can't wait to watch, Ravens Bengals. I think I hate the Bengals more than I hate the Steelers.
Over the years, yeah, I agree with you.
Like I think there's respect between the Ravens and the Steelers where it's like, okay, yeah, we're the best. And the Bengals are like the new kids on the block that think they're the shiz. But in reality, it's like, dude, you haven't even won a Super Bowl. You've been around for like 65 years and you haven't won a Super Bowl and you're trying to talk trash. Like, go win one. Yeah, I like your guys. I like your players. But you know what? Win one with them. We've had a lot of great players I liked over the years. You had Ocho. You had Terrell Owens. I got a Cedric Benson jersey up on the wall right over there. Rest in peace, Cedric Benson. Got a lot of guys that I've liked. AJ Green, but you didn't win with them. So why don't you win a Super Bowl with your guys, and then we can bring it to the big kids table. But I brought up the Super Bowl. I brought up the Bengals having won one.